Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I watched Doom Patrol Season 1, Episode 12, Cyborg Patrol. So I thought this episode, the last episode wasn't too weird. It was the first time that it wasn't weirder than the episode before it. And I was thinking the same thing for this one, until the moment when I heard the phrase, the butts are loose, followed by several shots of a horde of butts going on the rampage in the ant farm of the department or the Bureau of Normalcy. But that happens later on in the episode. We left off the last episode with Vic getting captured by some mystery people and being held captive somewhere. And as it turns out, it is the Bureau of Normalcy that has taken him away, and they want to weaponize him because of all that fancy stuff that's going on with his mind and body, with the cyborg and all that. But they're frustrated right away, trying to get stuff to happen because he had taken Grid offline, so he has nothing useful for them when they're first poking and prodding at him. Back at the house, the rest of the patrol, they want to figure out how to get him back. And Larry Trainer, he asks them, does this logo look familiar? And it is the Department of Normalcy logo, since he was unwillingly part of their activities in the past. So they say, great, we know, we let's go get him. And Larry says, this is like, he calls it Area 51 meets Dante's Inferno, that it's impossible to get in there and to get back out. But they have a plan. They contact Vic's dad, Silas, and try to figure out what's going on. Silas goes and checks out Cyborg's room, Vic's room, and sees that Grid has been taken offline, put onto this other computer, and he sees like the bloody towels and stuff like that, and he's like, what the hell is going on? Meanwhile, after he had been poked and prodded, he's there in his cell. Vic and his cellmate is like talking to him like way too much, but his operating system starts coming back online. Hey, what the hell is going on here? And once it finally reboots, it explains to him, well, I can regenerate myself as well, not just your body, so too bad. So the operating system keeps showing him all this footage from before the explosion and everything. It's driving him crazy. But the patrol, they come and they are captured instantly, and they're all interrogated and tortured and all of that in their individual rooms. But it was all part of the plan. That was the only way that they could get in there, because as it turns out, we had Riri, and sorry, Karen calls her Riri, is like all excited and calls her Riri. That was one of my favorite moments. It's so ridiculous. But and that was even before the butts thing. But everybody's captured, except Rita was not part of any of this, or so it seemed. She was inside of Cliff. And she comes out of his mouth and reformed. It's very, very gross. And Cliff is, before that, I really like that scene. The scientist was there like literally poking at him, and he's saying, you can't stop me, I'm unstoppable, and all that. And she's like, dude, we stopped you with a magnet, because he's just being held up against the ceiling with a giant electromagnet. But Rias flips the switch, he falls like 15 feet to the ground, and then they're off to set the others free. So let's see. In the other room, Jane was about to be interrogated. The guy was dancing to Ace of Base which I think is unfortunate for everybody involved in the making of and the watching of that scene. But I could feel Jane's pain there. But Jane transformed into Karen. This is not supposed to be part of the plan, but she transformed into Karen and seduced this guy. And so they're like all lovey-dovey outside in the hallway. And that's when they run into Rita and Cliff. They also get Larry out of there. And while all hell is breaking loose, Vic and Silas are there talking to each other. They're locked in their cell and they're trying to get out, figure out a way to get away. But these visions, they're driving Vic crazy, and right before they're about to go, he sees footage of his father installing this protocol for the nanites that will reboot them, like recover from injuries and all that. And then his assistant or his somebody who works there, he says, what have you thought about the ramifications that this could completely replace him, and that your son would no longer be there? It would be 100% cyborg. And he goes, yeah, what's your point? And this just sets Vic off, and he just starts wailing on Silas, and he kills him. Well, presumably he's dead now. Maybe he's just on the brink of death, but he really messes him up. And then we see Mr. Nobody was behind the entire thing. He is very, very happy that Vic flipped out. And he said, now that last part, that was entirely made up. I put that together in iMovie. And I was trying to think of a pun for that. It was Adobe Premiere, a nobody Premiere, Adobe, Mr. Adobe. No, that doesn't work at all. It seems like it would work. There's a lot of letters that are like in both. That pun does not work. So I'm going to move on from there. Yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts. And Mr. Nobody's just has the upper hand on everything. Like, he's just letting all this stuff happen because it's what he wanted to happen. I also just read The Oz Effect. It has kind of a lot in common with this, the Mr. Nobody stuff, because we have Mr. Oz. Is it Mr. Oz? Yeah, it is Mr. Oz. It is causing all this stuff, all this mayhem to occur. And he's just saying, well, I mean, the people made their choice to do what they want to do, and they chose the evil thing. So, but all those evil choices were put into place by him. So, I mean, he was causing it. But anyway, as it turned out, I read part 1 through 5 and then the conclusion, but there are 2 issues. The 2 issues right before that were like the prelude to it. And those are actually in the hardcover. So I decided a lot of the DC comics that are still on my unread list, that I would put them. I spent like a half hour to an hour adding them, like making lists on my DC Universe app of all the comics that I own but I haven't read yet. And that are available on DC Universe. There's a lot of them. There's over 100 on there that I ended up adding. Actually, even more, but I didn't bother adding all of the Catwoman 2002 run or all of the DC Bombshells, because that's like 38 digital issues. Well, 34 that I haven't read yet. I only added the first issue so that I would remember, okay, that's where I need to start when I do go and read all of those. But anyway, I guess there's 2 issues right before that, the 2 Action Comics issues before part 1 of the Oz Effect. And I feel like maybe I should go back and read those on the app also. But I don't know if I get to it. But I have knocked out quite a few because it is a lot easier to read comics on an iPad. In my opinion, anyway, I really really like having the physical comics and reading the physical comics, but it's I guess my vision is not as good as it once was, as far as low light, that I need like my lamp, my reading lamp, like right next to me, like over my shoulder, and that like to have like the best reading conditions to actually read physical comics. But on the iPad, I don't even have to have any lights on. I mean, it's not a good idea to just read in the dark with just the light of the iPad, but it is possible, and I don't have to have a reading lamp, so or anything like that. So it makes it a lot easier, and you can just go through all of them. Don't have to worry about unbagging the comic, getting it bagged again after you read it, and then sorting. You can do all of that afterwards of all the comics. If you are reading ones, if you have a system like mine, where I have all the boxes of the comics I haven't read, and then they get moved as I read them into the boxes of my read comics that are actually like organized alphabetically and whatever. The ones that are unread are together, like all the Batgirl issues are all together and stuff like that, but they're not like any type of order other than that. Like they're in order with themselves, but not with each other. By the way, it is Wednesday. I'm posting this on Wednesday. I do not have a new comic book episode. I won't have one yet until tomorrow on Thursday, because my car is getting worked on. Well, that's not true. It is true that my car is getting worked on, but I might get it back, be able to go get it today if they get the part in time to do it, to get it all fixed up. Listen to my Omaha, or my Midwest road trip episode for the stories about my car troubles. But that's getting fixed. The fender. Oh, what do they call the fender well? That's the name of the piece. But I wasn't sure what it was actually called. I was close. I thought it was just like the wheel well or the fender. I guess it was both. Anyway, what was I saying? So that's I haven't gone to pick up this week's new comics yet. I haven't even looked at what new comes out this week. So it'll be pretty much a surprise when I go over and get those. So I may be able to go get those tonight. But most likely I'll head over there tomorrow, and I'll do an episode about all of that. So I think that's a whole lot. That's enough of whole lot of not talking about Doom Patrol. I'll talk more about the comics and the reading experience on iPad. I really recommend it in this week's comic book episode, which may or may not be before I'm able to watch the next episode of Doom Patrol, Flex Patrol, because that's the last one I need to watch before I'm caught up. And then this Friday, Penultimate Patrol comes out, and then we have the final episode of the season next week. So I'm pretty excited. I'm happy with myself for getting caught up on almost getting. I'm not there yet, but nearly getting caught up in the last few days. So let me know what you thought about this episode of Doom Patrol and the show as a whole so far by tweeting me at TIW Podcast. Go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode or anything else on the site, please share some links with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you like to listen. And I'll be back real soon, like I said, for Flex Patrol, episode 13 and more here on TIW Podcast. Thanks for listening. Stay safe out there, Super Friends, and all of the... No, I should get rid of the Super Friends part. Stay out there. Stay safe. Stay out there safely. Stay safe out there in all the infinite multiverses. Bye.